People have been arguing this over the internet for 30 years, and most of them have never been within 100 miles of any of these units. And I have. So let me tell you what's actually true. But before I do that, I need you to hit that subscribe button if you're not subscribed, and then also hit the notification bell, because we've seen that only 11% of you guys are getting notified. I don't know if that's a YouTube thing. YouTube hates this channel. So help me out. Help this 44-year-old vet out. Anyways, why is this comparison complicated? I don't know. I don't know why it's complicated, but apparently it is. So let me try to break this thing down for you guys and help you. And maybe if you're watching this, then probably you're a young man that's wanting to go into one of these areas. And so you're trying to pick what's the culture, but what's the right fit for me. And I think that instead of mission set, I think really you should look at probably the culture of the different ones and say, like, what service is best for me. That's Nick's opinion. These are 3 distinct units from 3 distinct, I guess I can say branches. 2 are the same branch technically, but nonetheless, and 3 distinct mission sets. Comparing them directly is like comparing a scalpel to a sledgehammer to a sniper rifle. Like you can't really compare them, and that's the reason why I don't really like these videos, because they all individually have their own purpose and what they do and who they work for. All right, so who's better, Navy SEALs or Raiders, or who's better, Force Recon or MARSOC? It doesn't really matter. I mean, that's not the comparison that you should be looking at. You should be looking at them all individually and what they do, and they all have very distinct cultures that are different. And even now, like, used to, the Recon community and the Raider community had very similar cultures, and over the years, because of the separation, the cultures are becoming quite different, and which is as they should be. But nonetheless, the comparison exists because all 3 are elite units. All 3 do have things that conventional units do not do, and then the recruiting branding overlaps enough for that people conflate them, and that's the reality. The honest answer to which one is best is the wrong question. Each one selects for different things, because each one does different things. So what this video needs to be is really just a factual, like, this is kind of a boring video, but it's just a factual breakdown of what each unit does, what it is, and what selection looks like. And then the culture is, and then what the culture is from someone who's operated in that world. All right, Force Recon, what it is. What is Force Recon? So the Force Recon is the Marine Corps' organic, it's their conventional force, organic deep reconnaissance and direct action capability. That's all that's it. You can think of it as the Marine Corps is a conventional force, so you can think about it as the Marine Corps' special operations. It's their unit to conduct a special operations mission. It used to sit under the Marine Expeditionary Force. I don't think that it does anymore, actually. Maybe it got moved back. It changes a lot, or it has over the years. When I went to Second Force, we were part of 2 MEF, and then when MARSOC happened, we lost that, and then Force kind of did away for a little while, and then they brought it back, but it was under the Recon Battalion. So it's either there or it's back to the MEF. But at the end of the day, what's important to understand is it's not under SOCOM. It's not under Special Operations Command. Force Recon does not fall under Special Operations Command. That's a critical distinction that most people miss. Their mission is deep reconnaissance behind enemy lines, or certain miles behind the line, all right, which is a little muddy now because we're not actually fighting in a war that has a line, or we're not fighting any war other than nonsense that's going on with Iran now. We'll see what that looks like. Nonetheless, deep reconnaissance, direct action, and supporting the Marine Air Ground Task Force and the commanders with intelligence that they cannot get any other way. And if they can't get it other way, they should, without sending a small group of people. So what Force Recon does that distinguishes it itself from the outside of keep in mind, now I'm comparing it really to the rest of the Marine Corps. So what distinguishes Recon from Marine Infantry or another combative MOS in the Marine Corps? Well, they can do parachute insertions, they can do combat diving, they can do deep penetration reconnaissance, and they can go where conventional Marines cannot go, and they can come back with they can take the commander's intent and come back with what information that the commanders need to make decisions. They're organic to the MAGTAF, again, the Marine Air Ground Task Force, which means they are deeply integrated into Marine operations in a way that MARSOC is not. MARSOC is not there to support the Marine Corps. MARSOC is to support SOCOM and then overall the country and what they do. Selection and pipeline for for Force Recon, pretty standard stuff. It's, you got to have a clean record, of course, or at least several years past a clean record. Obviously, a very strong physical base. This goes in line with the video I made last week about preparing for MARSOC. If you think you're going to go in with a lower PFT because that's the number and think you're going to make it through, you're not. Basic reconnaissance course is the gateway. You're going to have to go through a indoctrination, or what they call Recon Marines awaiting training. That's what it is. So recon, you have to go do that, which is basically like a recon indoctrination platoon, like what I did back in the day. And this course is the gateway. It's just the beginning, right? It's very difficult. It's very high attrition. I went to amphibious reconnaissance school at Fort Story before they shut it down. And we started with 70 something guys. We graduated with 14 guys that got the MOS of 0321. So 70 something to 14. That was pretty wild. And then you got to go through jump school and dive school and all these other special training, depending on what platoon you're in, what billet. Nonetheless, that's what it is. The culture, man, tell you what, I freaking love, still to this day, of everything that I've done, I absolutely love the recon culture. The closest that I can say that it is, the only way I can describe it, and this won't even make sense to you, is in a way they're kind of like Rangers with a Navy SEAL filter on them. That's the way that I can explain it. But man, it's hard to put into words. Culture of a recon Marine is just this cowboy, angry dog professional that just loves to get to work. They love to do their job, and they love being a recon Marine. It doesn't matter how long you were a recon Marine, whether it was 3 years or 20 years, that is something that just absolutely sticks with you. Everything from the little nuances that we have in the community and afterwards. You see somebody with a jack on, typically you are going to be good friends afterwards. And it's just, and when I say jack, I mean that. Nonetheless, so it's hard to explain the culture, but I'll say this, and I've said it before. If I didn't go to MARSOC, I probably would have stayed in, and I know that's going to create a lot of questions that I'm not going to answer. So you can ask in the comments, I'm not going to answer, but nonetheless, it's a very tight-knit community. It's a tight-knit culture. And then, of course, how they're integrated in the MAGTAF is just different from every other branch. All right. Now, Marine Raiders, Marine Special Operations Command. Is the grass greener? Yes, the grass is in fact greener. It's not without patches though. You're still technically the Marine Corps. It's like having, I've said this thing, it's like having two dads. One beats you more than the other. Both beat you, but one beats you more than the other. So you got to answer to two dads. I'll let you drum that story up how you see fit. But at the end of the day, Marine Raiders are part of SOCOM. And this is a key structural difference from Force Recon. Raiders answer to SOCOM, not to the Marine Corps on an operational capacity. So the chain of command is a little bit different. On branch stuff, it's the Marine Corps. That's kind of why I was saying you have two dads. But at the end of the day, operationally, you fall under Special Operations Command. This means that we operate as Raiders. We operate alongside Army Special Forces, amazing guys, Navy SEALs, amazing, and other SOCOM components, even so the Air Force balloon guys, Special Operation balloon people, which is a great job. And their selection process, I'll tell you, is actually very, very difficult. So my hat's off to those guys controllers and PJs, and anybody that's in the Air Force Special Operations world. So I like to make fun of you, but at the end of the day, they do have a very intense selection process. Mission set. All right, direct action, special reconnaissance, foreign internal defense, counterterrorism, IO operations. You guys can Google those. It's all public information. You can go look it up. It's on the freaking Marine Corps. It's on the MARSOC website. So for me, what I did in my time there was very heavily in foreign internal defense and village stability operations in Afghanistan. That was kind of our bread and butter, and that you see that back in the day when we were the MARSOC motorcycle gangs. We were riding motorcycles off the back of helicopters and into bad guy land. And the way that I think about it now, it just seems like kids and it's like a bunch of kids and toys with their friends in a sandbox having fun. That's the way that my brain remembers it now after all these years. But it was a good time. But that was really our bread and butter. At that time was for internal defense. Now it's grown, and there's a lot more stuff going on in cyber and drones and all kinds of different things that has to happen. But nonetheless, that is still their core competency. And what I mean by that is training partner nation forces, working with them where other units are not, not present, and then operating in small teams. And we actually, if you compare the two between Raiders and SEALs, we have a much smaller footprint than Navy SEALs, more agile in certain operational environments. Navy SEALs actually come with a pretty decent footprint, pretty powerful team. Selection and assessment selection process for MARSOC. One, you have to be a Marine. You can't come into the Marine Corps and go straight to MARSOC the way that you can with Navy SEALs or even Recon. You have to have been a Marine for a significant amount of time, and then once you become corporal, you can take selection or apply to take selection and kind of go from there. And then again, like there's a physical component, there's a intellectual component, there is a psychological component in selection. There's a problem solving under stress, team management, mental resilience, and in those environments in which you'll operate, and you'll be graded as such. There's a very high attrition rate, as there should be. I won't tell you what it is, but it's very freaking high. Very few make it. That's what makes it special, which is in the name. What makes Raiders specifically different from both Force Recon and SEALs? There's a distinct different mindset when it comes to special operations, even in a special operations capability. But when you actually operate in special operations, there's a different mindset that you need to have. And with that mindset comes a different culture. And you have to be. It comes with a different culture because of the mission set that you're trying to do. And I know this is very vague and it's probably not helping you, but it's the best way that I can describe it. The unit is smaller than the Navy SEAL community. So in that way, it's much more like the reconnaissance community, but still on a psychological level, it's slightly different. Selection is a little bit tighter in some ways, and the culture is more insular, if that makes sense. And that's pretty much it. Navy SEALs, what are they actually like? Well, they're gay. Navy SEALs are gay. That's the end of this video. No, I'm kidding. A couple of them are gay, I'm sure. Seen that on the news, but no, I make a joke because they're easy to poke fun at, and they like making fun of Marines too. But I absolutely love them. I have a lot of great friends out there that are doing amazing things. Did amazing things. Actually, just heard a wild story that I can't share about one of my good friends who was a Navy SEAL, and I didn't even know, and he never even told me. Nonetheless, it was really, really cool. So I can't share it with it. But he just launched his new book, Drown Proofing. So go look at Andy's new book, Drown Proofing. It just came out, and go check him out. And maybe he talked about it in the book. I don't know. I haven't read it yet, but he's a cool dude. There's a lot of Navy SEALs out there that I like, but nonetheless, the difference is they are the Navy's primary special operation force. They do fall under SOCOM in the way that the Raider community does. They are NSW. The SEAL community is significantly larger than the Raider community, which has real implications on culture and selection. Then you have BUDS, the famous BUDS, Basic Underwater Demolition SEAL Training, with the famous Hell Week. We have, in the past, we've had very similar things to this, but it's not what that is, right? So you have Hell Week, which is famous in BUDS, and BUDS and typically is a 6-month pipeline. And beyond that, there's even more training that you have to go through. That's just to get to the point of entry to go do all the other training is that. So nonetheless, BUDS selects men who will not quit when the environment is maximally miserable. And listen, man, the hat's off to them. That is no joke. Hell Week is no joke. BUDS is no joke. I've seen some of the, in every branch, I've seen some of the toughest men, the guys who can physically Adonis individuals tap out when you got guys like Ray Cashcare who just crush it and go through. I don't know if he did, but nonetheless, he's a Navy SEAL and he's a badass, right? And then you have the guys who are physically superior to Ray, even as bad as Ray is in his 50s, that just quit. And that says a lot, right? It says a lot about the mindset. And that's the intent, right? The intent is to get them to quit, because when in a situation that they're going to be in, which they will find themselves in, you can't quit when it matters because you got people relying on you. So you have to select for that, and they create that environment for that exact reason. So what it does not necessarily select for is the tactical and cognitive qualities that become most important later in a career. All right, this is the initial factor of just, do you have the mental fortitude to be a Navy SEAL? Mission set overlap, distinction. So SEALs and Raiders, and most of special operations do have overlapping mission sets. But SEALs have a much broader maritime capability that Raiders just simply don't have. Do we have the ability? Yes. Do we have the full maritime capability that they have? No. And that's for a reason, right? The NSW community has a deeper bench of support of infrastructure supporting longer, and they've been longer institutional history with SOCOM. The culture reality of working along Navy SEALs is always funny. There's definitely a rivalry. It's kind of like when you're a sibling, is like you don't want other people messing on your sibling, but you're gonna fuck your sibling up, right? Like if it's your little brother, like no one messes with your little brother, but definitely you're going to mess up with your little brother. And that's kind of the way that it is. There's a mass mutual respect there. When we operate together, which we have in my time in Afghanistan, operated with everybody. They were generally excellent at what they did. There is obviously different cultural differences of what they look like. They think that they're really cool when they're not, you know, and they really do have like Charlie Sheen as like a kind of like a weird religious mantle that they put him on. You know, hey man, to each his own and to each their own culture. But when we work together, all of that kind of goes out the window, and it's all about the operation and operating at the highest level of that you can, essentially. So this is the reason why, like, again, you're comparing apples to oranges, or you're comparing a machine gun to a baseball bat, and this is the reason why. Like, so at the end of the day, like, all three have very high attrition rates, and so the comparison is not straightforward because they select for different things. BUDS is very heavily physically and mental endurance under that phase of training. Very much high sustained misery, and they want to select the man who will not quit. Assessment and selection for MARSOC is really a lot about team orientation, cognitive performance, under stress, alongside the physical standards. There's a different filter, not a lower one, just a different one. And then Force Recon, basic reconnaissance course, that community is physically demanding, and very technical, very technically rigorous. All right. There's a lot of tech that you need to know. And I don't mean tech as in like technology. It's about your skill set of what you need to do. And the community is so small that every individual matters. Operational capability, honest answer, they have Navy SEALs been around SOCOM for so long, so they have the largest standing relationship with SOCOM, and that creates some depth of capability and trust with SOCOM, and so there's been a lot of things, like even myself, I've had missions stolen, especially when I was a recon Marine. I had target packs just stolen from us to go to the SEALs because of that trust, right? And because they've had so much time, and that's just the way that it is. We have, when I talk about Raiders, we are the smallest branch in SOCOM, and for the most part, and the big history. I mean, we started in 2006. So at the end of the day, it's like we're still new, we're still relatively recent, and but we've got a good footprint, and we've done very, very well over the years. I would say they have done very, very well. My time is done long over. At the end of the day, I think that there is a chip on the shoulder with Marine Raiders, that they have something to prove to the world and something to prove to SOCOM that they are the capable individuals that they are. And then at the end of the day, Force Recon, it does things that neither MARSOC or the Navy SEALs do for the Marine Corps. I mean, Force Recon is special operations capable unit for the Marine Corps, and that's where they sit, and that's why they are great what they are. If I was starting over, which one would I do? Honestly, I wouldn't change a thing, man. I wouldn't change a thing. I look back and no regrets. Would I join after working with Green Berets, Navy SEALs, and etc.? I wouldn't have changed anything. I would have gone recon. I love the way, I'm very fortunate. I'm blessed. Things worked out in my life the way that they did. Definitely would have, if I could do it over again, I would do it the exact same way. Even knowing what I know and the hardships that I faced with MARSOC and then leaving and all that kind of stuff and the deployments, I don't think that I would change a thing, because I thoroughly enjoyed both of those communities and the different mission sets that I had and the men that I worked with in those times. And I would never want to replace that with a different culture. At the end of the day, I don't know if that helped you. That's my honest opinion of what the difference between the three is. Each community selects a slightly different version of an elite person. So figure out which version of you that you want to point yourself at that, and then freaking go after it. Again, if you are a young man looking to join one of these units, I will tell you, like, what you need to do is put yourself in physically demanding areas and build up your mental and physical capacity. All right. The best way to build up a mental capacity is push yourself to a physical limit that you want to quit, and then surpass it and keep leveling up. if you need some training, I would say go down to the description and check out our training books, that our prep books that we have, both for the Marine Corps, for Recon, and for MARSOC, Raider Prep. Go check those guys out. And at the end of the day, guys, listen, never quit, never surrender, just keep putting one foot in front of the other. Peace. Hey guys, thanks for watching. I really appreciate that. Remember to like it. Remember to drop me a comment. I want to respond to it. I'm actually the one responding to the comments. And if you like this video, you're going to absolutely love this one right here.